I don't think Mongols stand a chance. They've shown so much weakness.
I'm going to say that Vitality are better on pretty much every map. We are back doing pick'ems.
It's been a pretty rough major, to say the least, when it comes to pick'ems.
I've failed 2 stages in a row. I've done so badly, they've actually sent me home from the major.
Not been good for Harry. It's not been good for me. We are set for a banger playoffs at least.
Furia v Pain. This is an exciting game. I don't know why it's a major quarterfinal, but it is exciting. NQZ has been amazing this major. MongolZ has been amazing this major. Once we're going to get to the arena, we're going to see maybe a Dust 2 decider again, I think. I think we'll get a bit of Anubis, a bit of Mirage, a bit of Dust 2 deciding. I think that's when the experience is going to shine through. I think Yakinda, against a team like Pain, will be able to carry this form through, carry the momentum through. This is where Fallen takes over again. I think Furia are going to have too much for Pain, so that's pick number 1.
When it comes to this Brazilian derby, it's going to be Furia. Yes, MongolZ doesn't quite have that stage experience, but when you watch them play, the vibes are so good. Furia overall, they're playing pretty well, and then you have that rifling core honestly performing way beyond what most people expected, I think, when they started this version of the roster. Pain, they just don't have that stage experience. You're going to have Snow, he's not even going to be able to yell across to the team. You think they're going to be able to get into Furia's heads when they can't even see them? Not a chance.
Game number 2, FaZe v Mongols. You would think that the stats would go, oh, Mongols are a higher ranked team, Mongols are a better team, but the group stage and the wealth of data we have about the Mongols is that the only team they can beat in playoffs is Aurora. In a choke-off against FaZe, I think maybe Mongols might choke a little bit more than the most experienced team in Counter-Strike, with Simple on a 135 rating for the group stage.
Everybody knows it's coming. It's not going to be the Mongols. It has to be FaZe. Just being around that team during this major, you just see how little pressure they have, how little pressure they're putting on themselves. You have Simple back. He's just getting better and better and better per match. He's in the top 5 rated players of the event already. If that's not a good sign, I don't know what is. I don't think Mongols stand a chance. They've shown so much weakness. They're showing so much frustration. They need Senzu to almost drop 50 to even barely scrape by in, a quadruple overtime match. Not a convincing look at all.
NAVI Vitality, I think this is the one game NAVI didn't want. I think NAVI have looked much improved. Ultimately, a 2-week bootcamp doesn't make your players better than Vitalities or Spirits, and that's going to be their biggest issue. I'm going to be honest with you now, Vitality are going to win the major. Anyone who wants to go against that is relying on vibes and aura. There's no stat in the world that will tell you anything other than Vitality are winning this major, and I don't think NAVI are going to be able to stop that.
Now you get down to NAVI and Vitality, and I'll tell you this straight, NAVI are not winning this. It might sound boring, but Vitality are going to be taking this and laughing to the bank. The vibes on NAVI, they still have a lot of work to do in terms of getting back to their old level. Yes, they made it through this stage, but once you get to the stage and you have Vitality up against you, it's not going to be like the Cologne final. It's just going to be a blowout. I think this will be a quick 2-0. Vitality and Apex, just having a laugh.
Spirit Mouse is really interesting. That's where we get really interesting. Because in my last pick'ems video, which went really well, I said Mouz are going to go 3 because they've beaten Spirit twice this year. 2 series, Mouz have won both. A lot's kind of changed in the narrative since a week ago. Mouz lost those best of ones. They had to grind their way out. They had to kind of survive the pressure. They nearly got eliminated. I think maybe now it's harder to justify the Mouz pick than it was before. I think I may have to flip-flop and just say the times they've played have been close. Last time it was like, 25-22 in Lisbon or something stupid like that. Under the lights, I think a player like Donk is going to get even better because he always does. I think the pressure will be off Mouz, which might play to their benefit, but I also think Spirit looks like the best team in the group stage, other than probably Vitality, aside from a fluke on day 1. So I think Spirit have to win.
Before this event, you would have thought lock-in for Mouz, right? Pretty decent chance to get through. But the way they've played at this event, some of the frustration I'm seeing, attitude on the team when they've been playing down in some of these matches and you really need them to pull deep and come back into it. Spirit have had their own signs of weakness. They've had some issues with mood in the team. They went 3-0 in stage 3. Definitely going to be trying to go back to back. They might have not had a good time recently. They won Astana, but not the best year in terms of winning trophies for them yet. This matchup, with the way Mouz are playing and the way that they really need to dig deep in terms of their mental fortitude to come into some of these games and barely scrape through stage 3, no chance.
The major semi-final is Vitality v Spirit. This is going to be the best game of the major. In theory, it's the 2 best teams in the world playing against each other. You already know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that Vitality are better on pretty much every map. And if your map pool's that good, you've had a little bit of a humbling in the group stage of the Legacy little wake-up call. Like, okay, we're amazing, but we can't win on 25%. We've got to be at least at like 50% of our A game to win. Against Spirit, maybe 80% of their A game to win. but they're going to have that. They're going to win.
Vitality and Spirit. And you know what? All of that stuff I said about Spirit, it does come back in here. I think they won't have that same mental fortitude against Vitality, because Vitality, they've warmed up into the tournament. Obviously, they had this best of one loss against Legacy, but it's best of one. You know how they play. You know how Vitality have had Spirit's number time and time again. You don't think that's going to be in Spirit's head? Sure, they might want revenge, but I don't think that's happening this time around. Spirit are going to be in their own heads. They will crumble against Vitality.
The other semi-final, Furia v FaZe, I think this is a really interesting one. You know, they don't really play each other very much. I was trying to look at the last time we played, it was ages ago. It's interesting because you see kind of Karrigan v Fallen major semi-final, 2025, how's that happened? But I think it's exciting that that's happened, but I don't know where I'd land on it other than that the kind of individuals that have fired Furia through this stage have been amazing. They've been, you know, Keserato, MongolZ, Yukin have been all been amazing so far. But how many great teams have they beaten? So they beat, I think it was the Mongols, Aurora, and VP to go 3-0. And those are good teams. Those are great teams. Beating those teams in a group stage is very different to beating FaZe in a major semi-final. And I think ultimately the kind of pre-event wisdom that Furia should lack firepower by the time we get here. Like, I really love this Furia team. I think it's going to stay a top 8, top 16. I think this is kind of where it's all going to align for FaZe. They're in the major playoffs, and they're going to get to the final over Furia. But I think this could be a really, really enjoyable game as well. Obviously a much weaker side of the bracket, but I think FaZe will make it to the grand final.
You do have this Furia who's looking good. You do have Fallen starting to play as a rifler, actually making this team work somehow. But you have Simple. You have FaZe. FaZe have been in the last 2 major grand finals, and this time around, they're doing it again. They're making it through. Simple, he's going to be back in a major final. What a storyline. Austin Major, Elige in the grand final, representing America. What's not to love?
Simple v Zywo in a major final. Whatever their status, even though Zywo is probably the best he's ever been and Simple is definitely not, that's still amazing for the game if we get this. The brackets are wonky, but if we get an amazing Vitality run of quarterfinal, semi-final, grand final, and they're playing against really good teams the whole way through, and it's just really exciting, and Vitality a challenge, I think this could be one of the most memorable major playoffs of all time, despite the brackets being so wonky. You know what I'm going to say again? I think this is the stat side of the picking video, not the vibes part. And there's no stat that will tell you FaZe will beat Vitality here. FaZe have kind of brought life to the major because of Simple, because of his aura, because of the team's aura. If this happens, it's going to get very exciting on the day. You're going to start thinking, ooh, aura. Karrigan's going to have something up his sleeve in the veto. And then you get to the game, and you look at the veto, and Karrigan's looking at the veto, and he's like, we're worse on every single map. Vitality could come into this wanting to prove a point about how good they are and how different an era this is to when FaZe were the best team in the world 3 years ago.
This is where Harry might have a pretty similar bracket to me, you know? He is going to be boring, I think. He's going to pick Vitality to win it. Vitality, they've won the last 6 events in a row. You're just going to put them as the winners too? No. This is going to be Simple's major. It's going to be Karrigan's major. It's going to be Elige's major. Because FaZe are winning it all. That is pure vibes. What a story it would be for Simple to come back, win the major with FaZe. Everybody will be watching this final. And it's going to be pure vibes because you're going to have Simple who's going to get really hyped up. Karrigan's shown he can make anything work, even with stand-ins. And he's already done that this event alone. He's going to do it in this final. And it's not going to be like Shanghai. It's not going to be like Copenhagen. This time he's taking it. You can lock that in. Because this FaZe is winning the major.
Not just the Vitality era, but the Zywo era. Beating Simple in a major final, it's not going to get much better than that for him. And I think that is what's going to happen. So, see you then.